I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. Seims are a cinematic math rock band from Sydney, Australia. Started by Simeon Bartholomew, the concept began as a solo project and has grown into one of the most recognised bands in its genre since their first release back in 2012. The band has just released the first single, Flowing Upstream, from their upcoming fifth album, so I thought it was a good time to have a chat about that and other Seims-related topics. Hi, Simeon. Welcome to the 10,000 Hours of Indie podcast. How are you doing?
Good, mate. How are you? I thought that very Australian, didn't I? Good, mate.
Well, actually, I was just going to say you are the first Australian guest on the podcast.
Honoured. Thank you.
There's been a couple of bands I've contacted, but with Australians' laid-back ways, they haven't actually got back to me yet.
The email's still probably in transit. That's what happens. We're that far away from everything. It takes a while to get even emails.
It's still coming across on the ship.
Absolutely.
15 years of releasing music as Seims. Does it feel that long?
When you just said that, I was like, really? I don't believe it. It's kind of burnt into my bones at this point where it's just like, I feel like if I don't do it, I'm dead in that respect. You know, like it's just kind of like, that's just how I live now. It's just, you keep creating, you keep making music, you keep deleting hopefully deleting the shit ones. I don't try to release those, but you know, some people may beg to differ. It's just part of my life now, which is, I guess, good and bad and good.
You and the band have been pretty consistent at releasing music since that first album. But with 4 years since the last album, this is the longest gap between albums. Why is that?
Yeah, not my choice. I'd like to call out specifically, not that I'm pointing fingers, Mike Solo, that one's a new mate. Mike's our label manager. We actually did finish this record. It was done and dusted in April 2024. But I think this is the downside of being on an amazing record label, is that there's a lot of other great bands on the label. And you don't want to try and like cannibalize your own audience, right? So we had to play the waiting game and sit in the queue. Simple as that. It's I was getting itchy feet, itchy hands to the point where I've written 3 songs for the 6th record because I'm like, I just need to do something now. And we did have some tour plans last year, which kind of fell through, which hopefully we're going to pick back up. But yeah, there were just other bands with other priorities, like Wheeler C, great buddies of ours, also on Birds Road. They just put out their record a month ago. Sulky did theirs like a few months prior with the Cranebrook album. Like there's just so much in the pipeline. So at the end of the day, not my choice. If I had it my way, it would have been out the moment I'd finished it.
It's so often the way when you're, especially on a good label, you want to do it when they want to do it, but you also don't. You want to, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You can let go of it when you finally release it, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Because that's always what I worry about with this. I guess with this the album cycle of life, right? Like you spend time making it, you're in the deep end of it. It's all in your brain. You're trying to expulse every single bit of emotion and capture it on a record, but then you don't get to do it live until it's out. And then I worry that I've lost that emotion when it's out. And I don't. Like weirdly, you reconnect with it, and then you find new little bits that you never thought were magical by the time you get around to doing the set list and the way it sits in the set list and the way it kind of sits with a few of the older tunes, you find a new love for it, which is great. So luckily the magic's not dead in the relationship there. But yeah, I think you just gotta buckle down and just stick with it and just wait. You got to be patient. Yeah.
So today, the day we're recording this interview, saw the release of the music video for the first single taken from the album, Flowing Upstream.
Yes.
It's a track that begins with sort of gentle acoustic guitars and grows into another epic Seims signature tune. Tell us a little about the idea behind the song.
The song was a few ideas kind of put together, but I guess the core concept, and a lot of this album kind of revolves around my recent journey into parenthood in an indirect way. But Flowing Upstream is about fighting those battles that you can't win and just kind of giving in. And when you have a toddler, there's a lot of battles that you can't win. They have a mind of their own. Their knowledge of the world is so small. And of course, they have the loudest voice in the room. And sometimes the easiest way to get a toddler to do what you want is play into it. You can spend 30 minutes arguing with them to brush your teeth, and they can kick up a tantrum, or you can just go like, actually, today's opposite day, and we're going to put poo in your teeth. And then that just blows their mind, and they would have done it in 30 seconds, I guess that's the micro off that idea. But then obviously the macro off that idea is, again, like, I've been in so many places, like whether it's work relationships or friendships, where you're in this big, horrible mess that you can't get out of. And I spent a lot of my career in television, in broadcast. And there's a lot of shit in broadcast, so to speak. There's a lot of bad situations, and you've kind of just got to go with it because you still got to deliver something at the end of the day, or you still have to maintain a friendship at the end of the day. So it's kind of like just embracing that horrible place that you're in and just let it take you and use that on as your advantage, And I think the music video visually does that really well. We had Olivia, this amazing contemporary dancer, and the idea behind the clip was, again, like, let's try and visually replicate that, where we would have her perform in the exact same space with the band, but never at the same time. So it's always kind of like these voices or these sounds or these instruments or these oral acoustics are hitting her at every point as the song progresses, and she never gets to actually connect with them until right at the end of the music video, when she actually connects with you at the audience, and like just looks dead set in the camera. And that gave us chills on the day when we recorded. Liv did 3 takes of her performance. We only needed the first take. She was incredible. But when the moment that her eyes hit the lens, you can hear me go, oh, we got it. Like, if thankfully I had to delete that because we had music over it. It was bone chilling. And then, like, musically, that song has such a different reference as well, because one of my favorite albums is In Rainbows by Radiohead. I go 100% or 0% with Radiohead, release by release, which I love that about that band. They can be so dynamic and artistic in their own way. So kudos to them. You want to make something that I'm not a fan of? I don't care. You do you, and I think that's kind of what Seims is in a nutshell for me. When I was writing the song, I just drowned myself in a lot of In Rainbows, and the idea of like this Radiohead kind of getting swallowed into like the abyss was that musical reference for me. And I have an acoustic guitar next to the bedside that's just there for like these last minute ideas that come through every, when you least expect, or when your partner least wants it to happen because it's annoying. And then came up with the acoustic guitar riff. And it was one of those things where normally I would do that on an acoustic or on a piano, and then, come and sit at the computer and flesh it out. And that was one of those ones where I'm like, nah, that needs to stay on the acoustic, and it's going to be so pretty, and we're going to have a drum and bass beat underneath it. Like, I could see the vision of this hybrid drum and bass, very specific rhythm section, and this very floaty orchestra kind of going with it. Of course, it'll be swallowed into the abyss.
Is this going to be a difficult one to play live?
Yeah, but that's not the entire set. That's the entire set. Depending on where we're touring or what the budget is, because that's a realistic factor nowadays, the configuration of the band changes. So with this upcoming Australian tour, I think we're going to do it as a 3-piece, and we haven't started rehearsing yet. So it's definitely going to be a see how it goes kind of moment. And then we lean on tracks where we need to, or we might transcribe, the viola parts and put those on guitar, and maybe the bass plays. Like we like to reinterpret where we can. But that's definitely a tomorrow problem, not a today problem.
The video is set in what looks like an old theatre. Where is that? Is that in Sydney?
Yeah, it's the Leichhardt Town Hall. So I think it was erected in the late 1800s, or no, it would have been early 1900s. And it's a beautiful heritage building, and the council, it's quite close to my house, which is brilliant. I never try to plan a shoot on convenience, but when it works in your favor, just roll with it, $10 Uber down the road. That town hall, the council are actually really supportive of the arts, and will let you hire it for free if it's actually to create art, and I guess at a non-for-profit level. And, when you're making a music video, there's definitely no profit in that. Well, no direct profit anyway. Hopefully it sells records. So that was one of those ones where it's like, hey, we've got this beautiful, gorgeous hall. We've got 4 hours. Can we shoot an entire music video in 4 hours? Yes. Yes, we did.
And you also direct the video, is that right?
Yeah, like I said, like 17 years of my career, I sound so old just by saying that, but 17 years of my career has been in television. So a lot of ad campaigns, TV shows, director, creative director, head producer. I've done everything except creative film, which I have no interest in doing at all, because I can't think of anything worse than being on one creative project for 3 years. Yeah, I've done many music videos. I actually did We Lost the Seas recent music video as well. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, again, I guess it's a $0 option in my eyes. So yeah, $0, may as well just do it myself, but I do love it. Like, I do love getting a kick out of that directing, stretching that directing bone, I guess.
So how do you choose what tracks are going to be released as, well, singles these days? It's not singles as promotional tracks.
Well, yeah, exactly. All right. So everything's a promo, including this. Oh, did we just break the audience? Maybe.
The third wall is gone.
I was going to say, I thought there was a fifth wall with the way we were going. The single choices, it's so funny. When I create these albums, I do have a vision of the entire album. Like, I've always been someone who listens to albums from start to finish. It's how I've been brought up. It's how I consume music. I can't think of anything better than just immersing yourself in something for 45, 70 minutes and just getting swallowed by it again, So when I wrote this album, I had a very clear idea of which songs would go where and which ones would be the singles. And then, of course, I casually mentioned that to other people in the band, like our drummer, Chris, who goes, fucking no, man, that's shit. You're like, okay, cool, thanks. You're just a drummer, what do I care? But I do care. And then, of course, I finally succumbed to his idea. But, of course, he comes at it from a very different angle as well. And then once I finally come to that conclusion, go, okay, we've all said, like, these should be the 3 singles. And then, of course, our label manager will go, no, man, that's a bad idea. It should be these 3 songs. Like, okay, cool. Now there's another one in the mix that I hadn't thought of. So the 3 singles that we've got coming out, Flowing Upstream, I was the one that didn't pick this song. I thought it was too obscure. I don't know. I was wrong, clearly, with the reception that's been great so far. But again, that's probably me also being in my own head about the record and, writing everything. And at the end of the day, that whole choosing the singles isn't really my choice at the end of the day, right? Because I am probably the worst person to know what the audience would gravitate to. Because this project has always been me in my head doing whatever I want. And to the point where there was no goal for this project. I wasn't a very commercially successful band when I was really, really young. And this band was supposed to be the creative outlet of just do whatever you want, anything you want, it doesn't matter, right? And now it's obviously become a successful one and grown to this point. And that's awesome. But that also proves that if I just don't play into that, then hopefully it still keeps going further and further upwards, So our label manager picks them at the end of the day. But it's always great to see his objective opinion, because I think that's where the beauty comes in. And he looks at them and goes, and he heard this song, he was like, man, that's like Radiohead on crack. And I'm like, I don't know if that's good or bad. And he goes, it's good. It's good. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, did you like the tuba that was in there? There's like a tuba. And he's like, I don't care about the tuba. I'm like, okay, cool, man. And then the other two singles, one of them, Chaos Within a Construct, I didn't pick that as a single at all. Again, I thought it was too brutal, too heavy, maybe too jarring. But Mike thinks that it is a great way to kind of showcase a different side of the band. So all for it. And then the third single, which we all knew was going to be the single, Forever the Optimist. I think it's in the title. I think that's the giveaway. But that was one of those songs where I'd written it and I was like, I want this to be like a Moby tune from like the late 90s, early noughties.
Actually, I want to talk about that one because I'll go into the next question with that one.
Oh, okay, cool. Good segue.
Album number 5 is due for release in October. I haven't heard it yet, but as I've been following the band for quite a while, I'm excited to hear it, especially when your press release describes Forever the Optimist as Rush meets Oasis with a hint of Moby melodic pop prog.
I only gave the Moby reference. The rest was all Mike on that one. And I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have picked the Oasis angle. Thank you, I guess. But it was one of those tunes where I had written on a piano. There's actually a video that my wife captured. And there's always this moment where if I'm playing music at home and I stumble on an idea, I quickly yell out, Mel, Mel, Mel. And she'll just run over with her phone ready to go because she knows I've worked out something and I haven't worked out how to actually play it, but it's in my hands in that moment right there. And with the main piano melody, she comes in, films it, and there's like a 40-second video where I'm pretty sure I ruined it the second time through. And then the actual song, I sat on it for like 4 months, 5 months, because I kept not knowing where it should go. And it was one of those things where I'm like, no, I got it. It was all in that 40-second recording. It's all there. Don't try to make it something that's not. Just try to treat it as it is. I've definitely pushed myself artistically on it in terms of like what I can do in my own skill set. And there's some like vocal harmonies at the end, which definitely is a new territory for me. But and also just trying to be clever with, again, musically how it's written with like the idea of Forever the Optimist, but then having like a lot of dissonance in that big climax towards the end to kind of like make you always just feel like it's getting a bit sour, and then it's no, we're going. Oh no, it's just a bit sour because that dissonant chord's coming back. Oh no, it's good again. And then same with like the time signature, like it's all hypothetically 4/4, but it's phrased of like 7/8 and 9/8. So you always feel like that it's never complete. It's always feeling like it's slightly rushed and then slightly relaxed, as opposed to just straight 4. So there's a lot of like hidden music nerd gems in there to kind of give the idea of Forever the Optimist. But sonically, yeah, I always just go to it as like, this is just a Moby tune. And I loved Moby's Play record in the way that he captured such great nostalgia and such poignant, like, I wouldn't even say it's melancholy, but it's just like there's, again, like this sour positivity of just, don't worry, man, it's all fine, just keep going, but it's like really, it comes from like a very well-natured place. Love that. It's crazy.
Moby's one of those artists for me that I really didn't get the album until I saw him play it live at Glastonbury, and then I was like, oh, okay, now I understand.
Yeah. It took me probably about 10 years to get into that record too. I think just because it got hammered so hard when I was young and very singles heavy. But then when you actually listen to play as just immerse yourself in that journey, you're like, oh, this is deeper than I expected.
Yeah, and once you start to pick out the samples in that album as well, there's so much in there.
So clever.
Yeah. How do you come up with the ideas for your music? Because I'm a singer-songwriter, so everything for me is based around lyrics, and I really struggle to understand how you write lyricless music.
I grew up on a lot of jazz and a lot of metal. Like my dad was like a classic Sabbath, Deep Purple, Zeppelin kind of thing. And my mum was like massively into like Stevie Wonder, Four Tops, like Carole King and stuff like that as well. And then my granddad was like Grover Washington Jr., Davis, like Mingus, like all of that kind of stuff. George Benson, heaps of George Benson. So there was a lot of diverse music in our house, I think, to say the least, And it's still my favorite film to this day, but The Blues Brothers was slammed on rotation through and through. And as a kid, I always loved that soundtrack, and it introduced me to a lot of great musicians like Donald Duck Dunn and stuff like that. And obviously, Beta Bass is like massive influence, but also oh, that's actually a Sly and the Family Stone tune that you guys have covered for the film, and all you really into like that Stax era of music. And I think really understanding like the musical side of blues as opposed to like Stevie Ray Vaughan or something. No offense to anyone who loves Stevie Ray Vaughan. Great guitarist, but I find it very uninteresting because it's just pretty straight 12 bar, So kind of growing up on that, eclectic or fucked up mix, whatever your perspective is, it makes things talk to each other pretty quickly. And I think on top of that, when I was getting into writing my own music when I was really young in our teens, I was in a band that was quite heavy. And we were very carnival, cog, like that type of the Australian music scene. But we had bad luck of getting a great singer. And we kind of default became an instrumental band. And then when we eventually got a singer, the first thing that every friend said to me was, why? And I was like, oh, like I thought that was what we needed. And everyone was just like, no, because it just became too literal. And that was like a really like a bit of an eye-opener. And then not long after that, I went and saw Battles live for the first time, 2007 in Sydney. And that just changed music for me through and through, like what musicality was and, what being a great musician was, like understanding sound, sonic nature of sound, as opposed to just more notes faster equals better guitarist, and then, talking about being an instrumental band, like those guys are insane with what they produced. And I think, again, like a combination of that and then my TV career of like, it's I think the thing to making a great ad campaign or a great TV show or a great promo or great channel branding is the whole show don't tell, right? You got to make your audience buy into the emotion, and that's created with the environment around it as opposed to the literal words that a character says. That's the ultimate deal that defines it, but everything else is actually what makes people feel something. So you put all those things together. There's a lot of external influence there, a lot of like upbringing, and bad decisions became good decisions in the end, I guess. And then I fell in love with the idea of writing music that you could take this and you could feel pure happiness from it or pure sadness or pure aggression, but that's your feeling and you own that. I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm just giving you the world, and you're being that last person to come in and go, that's what it means to me. And I think that's super powerful. I think it also makes it inaccessible for a lot of people who can't connect that last dot. And that's fine. My music's not for them, and I'm never upset by that. It's like some people, they'll listen to like the film score soundtrack of a film, or they'll listen to the songs that came out on the film. No one's really listening to both CDs in that CDs. I'm so old. No one's really listening to both CDs from that film, right? They're either listening to like The Lion King, like give me all the Elton John tunes, or like I want to hear the score. And I was always the score, always.
Do you still get the same thrill from a new release that you did when you started the band?
That's a really interesting question, because I was actually thinking about this the other day, because like I said, this record was completed in April last year. So I got the thrill then. I'm like, it's done, guys. It's done. And then technically it actually comes out October 10. So do I still have the thrill? I've slammed it to death personally. I've listened to it heaps. I can't wait to play it. But I've already been through that cycle, you know. The thrill comes back when other people discover it. And even just something as simple as your invite on this show makes you actually go, oh, yeah, this is good, you know. And it's I think it's a hard thing for any, not even just artists, but I think anyone to get out of their own head to kind of reassess and just objectively look at your own work and go, yeah, I'm proud of that. As opposed to, oh, I spent a lot of time in that, therefore I am invested in it. It's like, no, like just listen to it objectively. And that's something that I've recently rediscovered again, especially with all, you know, the music videos coming out, and even something as simple as like, okay, I've got to go recut this thing for like a 50-second Instagram clip. And then, you know, I'll pull it into After Effects and then I'll just watch it. I'm like, this is great. This is great. We made something really great. So that's where it comes back for me. It's like all these other little things that help you rediscover it as it goes through. You know, when it gets to actual release day, I'm just more anxious to be like, have we got the records? Are we shipping them? Did we register all the sales? Are we going to chart? Like, you know, it's very pragmatic in business at that day, because I just want to make sure that all that's correct, because I'm a stickler for the process. But it's all these little things. And like even similarly, like with like the next music video that's coming out, like our friends in Totally Unicorn actually directed it, which was fantastic. And same deal, like I put that on recently because, again, I've got to recut the social cuts because we're going to drop that in a few weeks. And again, just watching it through, I'm like, oh, this is great. Aaron did such a fantastic job. Oh, how good is this song? Like we need to use that sound effect more often, or like that guitar effect more often. I need to play more than six more 16ths, or, you know, like it's all these little things keep coming back when you can disassociate yourself from the actual process of creating the record, as opposed to releasing the record.
There's an unboxing clip of you with the first pressings of the new vinyl on socials I saw. You seem quite excited.
Oh, yeah. Again, I think distance makes the heart grow fonder, and I think distance and time definitely made it grow fonder there. And also Dunk Records, who are amazing to collaborate with. But again, I'm not in every conversation of these things, right? So I'm just kind of sitting there like just waiting for mail one day. I don't know when. It's not my decision. And then randomly you just get like this email from like Australia Post, our postal company, and it's like, hey, you've got a package coming from Belgium in like 7 days. And you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that was coming, but now I need to work out how to be home and not miss this. And then I had to go to an office that day, and I literally went in, dropped my daughter off to school, and then just rushed straight back home and almost missed the courier, literally in passing. It sounded amazing. And then and with test pressings, like you've got to test it on a few systems, obviously, just to make sure that the pressing's actually accurate, and it's not just your system that plays it well, but others too. And I've got a friend who owns a record shop not too far away. Went into his record shop and I'm like, hey man, can I just test this on your player? Like, play this house music, I don't care. He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. Let's crank it. And we had it on, and he just sat there with me for 45 minutes, didn't care about the customers. I was like, mate, people want to buy your records. I think you should probably, he's like, oh, fuck, they'll sort it out. And we just sat there and listened to it. And just every time a new song came on, he'd be like, yeah. And that's all he'd say. He'd just look at me and go, yeah. I'm like, great. And the assistant in the store would just come over and be like, I've never heard anything like this, and I didn't even know how to explain it. And I'm like, great. Don't worry about explaining it. It's fine.
I very much got that with your last album. I got a promo CD sent to me from one of your promotion companies. And as soon as I saw, because I probably discovered you with the second album, I think, because that's when I started my radio show in the UK. But when the third album came, I was like, oh, you know, I had an envelope full of CDs sent to me, and I was like, that one's definitely first.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
And I had the same feeling, you know, it went on and I went, yep. Like this, love this, like this, you know, and it's like it used to be in the old days. You know, you don't get the same feeling from clicking play on Spotify, do you?
No, you definitely don't. I think there's something to be said for physical mediums, and I think they will come back really firmly. Either that or arts will disappear altogether and it'll just become a commodity in 15-second clips on TikTok, you know. But I think the listening experience, there's the Gen Zs, they didn't get it. You know, their world is not built for them to digest art. It's really not. So I have a feeling, I'm hoping that the next Gen Alphas, when they eventually come through and grow up, I think there's going to be this new world of art appreciation. I think the underground scene is going to be stronger than ever. I think festivals are going to be dead because, you know, all those acts that put out records now, they're all going to be retired, or, you know, like there's going to be like, everything's going to change in 20, 30 years. I think for the better, though. I think the albums are coming back.
I've got a 16-year-old who loves buying CDs. He loves going into a music shop.
He's a rare one, though. Yeah.
But my 13-year-old daughter, she's into her K-pop and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, she's just saying, I need to have all the albums by this artist. But she doesn't care otherwise. It's because with the K-pop stuff, it's all about the packaging and the stuff you get with it. Yeah, let's move on to the live side of things. You've played all over the world. Is that more difficult for an Australian band who obviously have to spend a lot of time traveling to get to your audiences?
It's not difficult. It's expensive. It's so expensive. And I think that's what in turn maybe makes it difficult. The Australians are very accustomed to travel taking a long time no matter what. You know, we're at the arsehole of the world, right? Like we are far from anything. To get to New Zealand, it's 4 hours, you know, and that's the closest country. To get to Indonesia, to get to Bali is like 6 hours. Singapore is 8 hours. Japan is 9 hours, you know. So, well, I mean, going to Melbourne, it's 2 hours on a flight, you know, like it's an hour and a half. You know, going to Brisbane, it's 2 hours. So going to just a different state is already a bit of a trek. So when it comes to touring internationally, like no one really finds it difficult in terms of the time spent or like the labor. Like it's, you know, everyone's gone to anywhere overseas when you're from Australia. So you kind of just get used to like packing the bags and getting on a plane. Generally, again, families and loved ones are all very supportive because there is that notion of Australia is a small market. You do have to go overseas to do anything of merit. And I think that's just because the scene is small, the population's small. The population's very spread out as well. So like Sydney has a very specific scene, Melbourne has a very specific scene, Brisbane does as well. And we're like right in the middle of it, which is great. But I think the only times where we've really had true success is like our first Japan tour back in 2017. That really put us on the map straight away. We went and played Bahamas Fest in Tokyo. And I mean, regardless of how amazing the experience was, I think everyone takes your band a bit more serious when you get out of the country, you know? Now that's just part of what we do. And I think also because now we're all a little bit older as well, and a little bit, let's call it wiser with money, not necessarily just wiser, otherwise we'd probably not be musicians. But we're wiser with money and time spent, right? So fewer, bigger, better. That's always my thing. If you're going to do something, do it well. And that means like, let's invest in, again, going overseas and hitting the markets where our actual fans are. When 4 came out, we debuted on the Australian charts at number 7, which is massive for, again, what the type of music is, right? You know, we're not the Bluey soundtrack. We're not 12 Foot Ninja. We're making math rock with an orchestra with all of the time signatures. Some of the songs are 9 minutes. There's no words in most of it. You know, like it's very not chart friendly. And we debuted at number 7. And I can tell you for a fact that we only shipped 12 records in Australia. And I know that because I personally did those ones. Because I was like, don't worry, Mike, I'll sort those. And maybe 4 of those were to friends, because friends don't buy your records. They always just ask for it for free, and that's fine. But yeah, so when you go, okay, we hit number 7 on the charts, and we only shipped 12 records in Australia. There's no bigger data point to go, fuck Australia. Go overseas. Everyone's overseas. And I guess the great thing, I hate Spotify with a passion, but the great thing with Spotify and Apple Music and stuff is that you do get that data on where people are listening to you, and where they consistently listen to you. And again, not Australia for us. And that's fine. I love touring the world. I love going overseas. So do the boys. Like it's such a great experience. So what better way to, you know, go see the sights and do it with purpose?
Well, I was actually meant to see you a few years ago when you played Arctangent. I was going to see Bi-Curious.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah.
I've known
They're
the
amazing.
guys. Yeah, I interviewed them just after their first album came out for a previous podcast.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
And they're lovely guys. There's an episode that I did of a series on this podcast with them.
Yep.
And they're fantastic. They are just so passionate about their music.
I'm pretty sure I saw a bit of their set at the Portals Festival when we played that in London.
They're
in 2023, yeah.
Although you're both grouped into that sort of math rock category, you're both completely different in terms of sound.
I mean, half the time I don't even know if we are math rock anymore. I just do what I want, and then I think that's the easiest way to kind of group it to a fan base that doesn't fear it. That's my conclusion. You know, like I think if we like, there are some songs that are definitely a bit more post rock influence. Like I think "Flowing Upstream" could be a post rock song. And, you know, I put it in the post rock Reddit today, so let's see if it gets deleted quickly. But I think that the math rock audience is very. I mean, that's been our roots for sure. But I think the math rock audience is very accepting of things that are different, things that are challenging, things that are musically diverse within itself. So I think why we keep getting called math rock is because that's the home that accepts us the most. I think post rock, we're definitely not very traditional in that post rock element. Like I personally don't really use delay pedals a lot. Our songs are very positive, and that's a genuine intent. I try to keep them very I want people to feel good listening to music, feel joy. There are a lot of great bands where you can feel cathartic and feel loss and feel, despair and stuff like that. Not mine. I want you to feel happy. I want you to feel like life's good. I want you to feel like, hey, there's something around the corner, A lot of post-rock fans don't like that. And that's fine. We once played a show with We Lost the Sea. And again, they're really good friends of ours, but we don't play the same bill for a lot of reasons. And one of those is that. We played a show with them, 300 people in front of us. Not one of them gave a shit. I was like, yeah, that's fine. We're not for you. That's fine.
The thing is, you have to do those things to find out where your audience is. If one person went away from that show...
You definitely do. And it is definitely one of those things where we obviously chatted about oh, man, we haven't played together. We should definitely play together. Yeah, because, we're all friends. We should definitely play a show together. And then you play a show and you're like, oh, why did we do that? Your fans don't care. We've got major chords. We've got a lot of major chords. We've got major 7 chords. That's the happiest chord in the world. Your fans hate that.
I always delve into a band's social media, and you seem to have actually nailed it, unlike so many other bands I speak with. What's the key? What's the secret?
What have I nailed? I don't feel like I have.
Well, there's just little snippets of everything, and it really captures who the band are, I think.
I think maybe this is my my TV career and marketing career maybe coming into play. I don't know. But I think what I've discovered, and I discovered this really early on through Facebook, and it starts in a negative place where I always had the fan pages, and they were always, the band pages, and they were always very, let's call it cold, right? Like posters, artwork, very marketing material, right? And some rando, I don't know who he was, I don't know which country he was from, goes and adds me on my personal account and then starts messaging me. And this is 2012, 2013, right? And I got really, it felt very invasive at the time. It felt very oh, this person's talking to me, not messaging through the band page as if it was a contact form or something. They're talking to me, and it freaked me out. And I didn't know how to respond. And then at that point, I think that's where I learned what social media was. And it was more about giving a part of you to your audience or to your fan base or, to the algorithm. But I think when you give enough of that, I think it's really clear to see what the intent of the project is. And again, I come back to what my music and, I try to create the environment around, and you're the last person to kind of connect that dot of what you want out of it. And I think when it comes to social, that's me in a nutshell. It's, I've got some family stuff on there, the constant running gag of, use horse dad at checkout, which does work. It's a real code, because my daughter loves horse riding, and I still think that's cheaper than being a musician. So I'm okay with it. But then also, I love memes. I love memes. I have a crazy sense of humor. And I love a good misdirect. And, if it's someone getting wheezed, or if it's I just recently transcribed a Lil Wayne guitar solo, be funny. I love spreading joy. It sounds so cliche, but I think there's we're currently walking around with a genocide in our pocket, right? Every 3 posts you can scroll through, and you're literally watching a baby die in front of you. That's horrible. And there's going to be a whole generation of people who are exposed to that from birth, right? When I was growing up, the TV had that. You couldn't really access a lot of that. It was on the news at 6 o'clock in Australia, but we only had 5 TV channels. And there was one of those channels, 4 of them played the news, and one of them played The Simpsons. So no kid watched the news. We all watched The Simpsons. And if you wanted to watch the news, you'd kind of get the snapshot from your mum, or when Simpsons would finish early, right? And you wouldn't be exposed to that. And again, it was a controlled media form, right? Because they only got 30 minutes. So, if there's a war, they're only reporting on it for the first 4 minutes because here's a dog on a surfboard. But now everyone's phone has every single thing that's happening in the world at a touch of a button. And there's a lot of shit in the world. There always has been, but now it's just in your pocket. So I think that if the intent of my music is, again, pure joy, feel good, hey, I want you to feel good from just escaping the world and come and find my music and then get into it. Great. I want my Instagram page to reflect that. Have a laugh. Have a laugh at me. That's cool. Have a laugh at life. I mean, the world doesn't need more despair. There's enough of that going around. We should be trying to do other things about it. And if music and if art should be either the voice of rebellion or the voice of escape, then hopefully mine is doing one of those for anyone.
You have a tour in December in Australia. Are there plans for Europe for 2026 for the rest of us?
I'm going to say yes, because I was very clear on the intent of what I wanted to do. And Mike, again, at Birds Road, he's great at being a label manager, because anytime you show him music and go, hey, I've got a new album and I think it's going to be done around so-and-so, the first thing he'll do is go, what do you want to do with it? I'm like, do you want to listen to it? He's like, I don't care about, like, it's going to be great. I know that. I trust you. That's why you're on the label. What do you want to do with it? And the first thing I said was like, go back to Arctangent, one of the greatest festivals in the world. Go back to Dunk Festival, one of the greatest festivals in the world. Hopefully Portals are still kicking, because Asher, man, that's one of the greatest festivals in the world. I want to do it all again. We haven't gone to Japan since 2019. And obviously COVID happened in 2020, 2021. And then with trying to get back to Arctangent and stuff, and just, you know, the world reopened, then that meant that every flight was literally, how much did I pay for the guys? I think it was like $3,000 a person to get to Arctangent. Not including comp, you know, not including a tour bus, not including food, not including just paying the bandmates, but like just $3,000 per person on a flight, right? So the world got very expensive, and now we're kind of settling back. So I just want to open that up again and add Japan back on the list, because we've got a very big fan base over there, and I really feel like we missed that. But Arctangent, again, I went there in 2017 as a punter. Like, I had some mates who were in Germany at the time, and they won free tickets, and they're like, you want to just fly over and go to this festival? I'm like, yeah, I do. And I just did on a whim. It was insane. It was beautiful. And I got to see my mates, Sleep Makes Waves, play as well, even though I can see them down the road. But, like, you know, it's very different when you see your friends halfway around the world on the main stage. And then when James invited us originally back for 2020, again, COVID, I felt like I hit the life peak of, like, you know, we're playing math rock, we're playing awkward music, and what a gift to be given the slot on the main stage at Arctangent, like the home of this music, you know. And the experience was fantastic. I thought we were actually top form that day, but like our fan base grew straight away. We had like 4,000 people there for us. 11 a.m. on a Saturday. What festival has that? You know, like every festival in Sydney, if it's open at 11, it's people trying to go take pills in the toilet first. No one's looking at music. But here at Arctangent, halfway around the world, artists are treated as artists, and the audience is there, primed, and we definitely had a lot of fans who were there, because I got a lot of messages about it. But we also got a lot of first-time fans, of people going, didn't know who you were, but heard you travel from Australia, so let's see what you're worth. And it worked. And I just want to go back, because that festival's amazing. And I got to see all of my favorite bands, like Lightning Bolt, The Armed, Opeth. Like, great. What a win.
Yeah. It's in the arse end of nowhere, but it's a hell of a lineup every year.
Oh, it really makes the trip worth it, I have to say.
Do you enjoy festivals more for the fact you get to see a bunch of other bands that you wouldn't normally see as well? Yes.
I think also the connection moment, but also I actually thrive off the audience vibe on those. In Australia, the scene is small, and we have played a few festivals here, but, you know, there's not really much for the math rock, post rock demographic outside Progfest or the Birds Road Fest coming up in December and things like that. So you kind of already know what to expect, right? But the culture of festivals overseas is so different. When we got to play Dunk Festival in 2023, so that's in Belgium, like already, again, stoked, like we got a great slot, super happy, you know, great times, right? And I got really disappointed that the festival owners told me that I had to man my own merch stall. I was like, what? I just flown all the way from Australia. I'm not going to stand here and work. I want to go watch all the other bands. And like, oh, well, it's, you know, it's a community thing. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm not, like, if I'd known, I would have brought a merch stall, you know? I thought you guys have a merch stall just like every other festival in the world. But quickly did I learn, it's all about community. Everywhere else except Australia, no disrespect to my fellow Aussies, but, you know, you guys are a bit shit. You make eye contact with someone at the merch stand, they freak out. They're like, oh, no, I don't want to buy anything. I'm like, but I was just trying to say hi, you know? But in Belgium, everyone wants to come and talk to you. They want to know the whole backstory. They want to know why the cover art. They want to know, like, why certain songs. So many people were asking what extra variants of the vinyl we had. I'm like, oh, no, we've got like the 3. We've got like the splatter. We've got the pink and the blue. And, like, and they all had the same answer. I've already got all 3. Do you have any other ones for the tour? Why would you buy my record 3 times for different colors? Like, it's the same music, you know, but that's the community. That's the dedication. And you don't get that here. You go overseas and discover that. So to get immersed in that audience and that fandom of actual music is, I don't do drugs, but that's a drug. Like, that is something to feed off. And again, genuinely inspiring to do it, to make you want to do it. You know, like that whole experience of like just watching people just obsess. Even like when back in 2017 when I went to Arctangent, and again I was like down the front at 11 a.m. to watch I think maybe the Physics House Band, and I was there with my mate Matt. So you know, two Aussies in a sea of Europeans and Brits for whatnot, and hearing all the chatter in the groups before the first band even started. And again, there's like 1,000 people ready to go at 10:30 in the morning. People haven't even had their coffee yet. They're ready to go. You know, they're all chatting and they're like, oh yeah, well, do you listen to that band, man? This because that guy, they have the same drummers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's so weird that to hear all you guys talk about my friends like this, you know? And it's so beautiful because here we are in Sydney, halfway around, again, in the arsehole of the world, not really knowing that we're making an impact. We're kind of just doing it for us. And there is a scene here and you feel the scale kind of stop. And obviously, like when record sales happen, I think that's the true like eye opener of like, oh yeah, people actually really do like this, just not here. And then again, hearing that chatter, hearing that vibe, and just watching people obsess over your friends is so beautiful to be a part of.
So the final proper question, what music are you listening to at the moment that people may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
Okay, that's a great question. I love this question. I'm going to open up my Spotify because I love my Bandcamp, but Spotify is my casual listening. I'll always, just to clarify with the audience, because yeah, Spotify is evil, but it does have a place. Discover your favorite band. It's still the
best way to find music.
It is. And then go support them on Bandcamp because, you know, you can sell 10 records or get 10,000 streams. And I can guarantee you that the 10 records is going to do so much more for a band. Yeah. So here's what my most recent listening is. Heavy Meddlers by Father Figure. Album came out in 2014. It's just like great prog instrumental. An Excellent Spiritual Serviceman by Contemporary Noise Ensemble. I discovered those guys at Dunk Festival. We needed some downtime, went to the quiet stage, and there was these two guys with synths, a bass guitar, and a drum set. Oh, brilliant. Like, I think like Kraken Quartet vibes, like just really cool, vibey, like Bad Bad Not Good, but a bit more dancey, less jazz. The new Armed record, The Future Is Here. Block Party's Silent Alarm, because it's the 20th anniversary. I went and saw them last week.
God, is it 20 years already?
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I feel old too. But also, they did the 20th anniversary tour, didn't play the whole album. I'm like, guys, if you're doing an anniversary tour of an album, you play the whole album. Then come out, do all your bangers. Queens of Stone Age did it, Sparta did it, like every other band does it. So I've been immersing myself in the full album, front to back. And then The Bends by Radiohead, just because I needed something a bit more chill. And then the other one...
I love the fact you say The Bends by Radiohead is a bit more chilled.
Oh, I find that a really chill album, actually. Yeah. I find that a very chill album. Never Enough, Turnstile. Obvious 2025 record. Who's not listening to Turnstile in 2025? And then also the last one, and this is a record that I'm actually on, but it's called Cheer Up Sunshine by Godwins, which if there's going to be one recommendation out of that list, and this is not because I'm on the record, but God's Wounds is a band that I just play bass in, so I have no financial tie to it except turn up, play show, get paid. But it's a band that is responsible for Seims starting, because that's how I met most of the original lineup. We were all in God's Wounds. So myself, Sam, who still plays the guitar, and Paul, our original trumpet player, who still plays on the records. The drummer is a six-piece, and Danny Heifetz from Mr. Bungle is one of the drummers. When I say one of the drummers, there are two simultaneous drummers. So it's two drummers, brass, guitar, bass, keys. And it's basically like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a Nintendo core with the Beach Boys living through it. And it's mixed and produced by Toshi Kasai, who looks after the Melvins and Big Business, and he did Tool's first record, I think. So we even had Dale Crover from the Melvins on the previous record and stuff. And I just feel like Lachlan, he won't listen to this because he hates anything in the world, let alone content. He is the worst at marketing his own records. And I think, and this is me actually being completely objective as a musician, I think his records are perfect. I think they are the greatest things to exist. He won't say that. He won't take merit for that. But it's kind of a similar fan base for Seims of like, if you've heard Seims and you've dug through, you found God's Words, and then you fall in love with God's Words. So I please encourage you all to look at Cheer Up Sunshine. If you're not looking at my stuff, that's fine. That's fine. But Cheer Up Sunshine by God's Wounds, it's the album through and through. It's perfect.
Fantastic. So for anyone wishing to find out more about Seims, where should they look?
I should have a really obvious answer for that, shouldn't I? I don't know. Seims.net is the website, but no one uses websites anymore. So Instagram at Seims Music. TikTok, I'll post stuff on there, but I hate TikTok. But Instagram's probably the quickest place to get updates and memes and also life stuff. Today I watched my daughter ride a horse and I patted it. And that's in the stories. And then you can also watch my new music video there too. So you get the best of both worlds.
And you've got the most followers on Facebook.
Yeah, Japan don't use Instagram,
right?
And they're the only reason why I still use Twitter. Twitter is still big in Japan. That's their platform of choice. Yeah.
Okay. V5 by Seims is released on the 10th of October on Bandcamp and all streaming platforms.
It will be, yes. We're staggering the release to try and obviously make money from it so we can tour overseas. So please buy the record, everyone. Please.
Well, thanks for your time, Simeon. It's been great chatting with you.
Likewise, mate. Appreciate it.